All right. Am I visible and audible to all of you? Just let me know if I am audible and we can start. Hey, what's up, guys? A lot of guys have already joined. Tejasvi, hi. Shah, Varshil, Numan, hi. Monica, hi. Biswaranjan, Abhishek, Sumanday, Archit, Kisle. What he has written. जिंदगी और कुछ भी तेरी मेरी कहानी है. That's so nice. Audible? All right. So I hope all of you guys are really excited to get started with actually the coding part of it, right? We have covered the system design of our Airbnb project, right? So you guys are with me until here. This is what we had covered in the last class. We had covered the flow and the APIs that are going to get built, right? And also the schema design. So just going to set up the agenda for today's class. It is that I'm going to set up the project structure, that is the directory structure. That's going to take I don't think more than 10 minutes, and then after that we're going to set up the entities, right? So today's class is going to be all about setting up the entities, setting up the relationship between the entities, right? Setting up some unique constraints inside the entities, so that from the next class onward we can get started by creating our MVC, right? Getting started with our controllers and services and all that. So all that will be coming from the next class onward. In today's class we're going to setting up all the entities so that we can start working on these entities, right? So we're going to set up in all these entities in such a way that they are following all the normalization patterns. So if you have heard about RDBMS, there we have 1NF, 2NF, all these things. So we're going to set up it in such a way that we are following all the best practices of database management, right? And also we are writing scalable code inside our database. So designing your schema is very crucial. We have already done quite a lot of it already. So we are going to use the Spring Boot data JPA in order to create our schema for us, right? So we are going to write our entities and the relationship between the entities in today's class, and using the JPA and the Hibernate, our schema is going to get created inside our database. Okay, one more agenda for today's class is to set up the database. So let me just put the agenda here. I need to put it here just so that we know. So week 2 agenda would be to set up the project structure and then to create all the entities, right? And before creating the entities, to set up the DB. So I hope you guys have gone through the week 3 lectures. There I have mentioned how to create your database, how to actually spin up your PostgreSQL database. If you have not gone through that, then probably today's class won't make that much sense to you, but that is a prerequisite. All right. So I'm going to set up the entities. If you have not gone through that lecture, those weeks, then still you can keep listening to me in this live class, and then make sure that you go through that week wherein I have covered the database management and how to set up entities, how to create database, all the Hibernate related stuff, so that you can get started with this, because this is a very crucial step and this is actually the starting point. For me, I like to start with the schema. Whenever I try to create a big project, first thing that I do is tackle the schema, right? Go hard on schema. Basically we have already set up the functionalities, right? These are the APIs. Now in order to facilitate these APIs, we need to have some entities, we need to store our data somewhere, right? So the next step for me would be to set up my entities, and once my entities are set up, then only I would move to creating my APIs using the MVC architecture. All right. So I'm going to create all these entities inside our project. So let's get started. I hope all of you guys are ready. Let me just see a thumbs up if we are ready to get started, or if we have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise we can get started. Having doubts from previous week database schema. So this is the database schema. Can you simply ask me? And also don't keep your doubts there all the time. Like if you are facing any kind of doubts, simply ask people on the Discord, right? We have mentors there, you have me there. I'll answer all the doubts that you have. So if you're facing any kind of doubts, like any day or night, simply ask on Discord and we are there to help you. Don't wait for the next live class. I mean, I'm going to answer that in the next live class also, but why wait, right? um, Biswaranjan says, Bhaiya, can you please just recap the table formats? Sure. Let me just do a quick recap of all the things that we covered in the last class. So ultimate goal is to create a hotel booking and management system, right? So for that we have all these entities. Let me just go through all the entities and what do they contain. So inside this hotel we have the information about the hotel, and I think I should also put something which I have not added, which is the name of the hotel, right? That got missed. So this is the name of the hotel, all the information about the hotel, city, the contact information about the hotel. In there we have the complete address of the hotel, and then we have the rooms, right? Inside the rooms we have all this information about the room. So this is just the room type. We can have multiple type of rooms, right? And that property is getting defined here inside the type. So we can have a single room, double room, deluxe room, all these things. So for one type of room we can have multiple rooms in a hotel. For example, for single bedroom room we could have 10 rooms in the hotel. So it's the duty of the hotel manager to put that information. So they will put the total count, right? That means they have this much of inventory present in their hotel for this particular room type, and then they can specify the base price of that room, that this much it should cost, and then we can also surge the room price based on certain criteria that we're going to cover later on, right? So we have base price, the type of the room, the amenities for the room, the photos for the room, and all these things are going to get stored with the room. All right, so these three are covered here inside the room hotel management system. Now as far as the room hotel booking is concerned, we have to create two more things. One is the booking and one is the inventory. Inventory will signify how much like which room is available on which date. So as soon as a user creates a room in their system, what we are going to do is we are going to create an inventory. All right, so we are going to create an inventory of that particular room for, let's say, 1 year into the future. So we can create inventory for the 1 year in the future, or maybe we can create inventory for the 3 months in the future, or 6 months in the future, right? And then what we can do is every night we can spin up some scheduler that will keep on adding one new room every day. Every midnight we add inventory for 1 day. We can also keep deleting previous inventory because we don't need to have the record of previous inventory in our database. That way we can keep removing the stale information from the inventory. So that's something that I've just realized that we can do. So yeah, so this is the inventory that contains like for a particular room type. This is the room type inside a hotel on a particular date. What is the inventory available, like how many rooms are there, and then how many rooms are booked in that hotel, right? And we can actually add a lot more detail here, so that while doing our queries to see if the room is present or not, we are not doing any joins query, because joins are very slow, right? We don't want to have a lot of joins in our database. So for that matter we can denormalize our database a lot more. So that's what I'm going to show you in today's class as well, so that we are not adding joins unnecessarily. For example, yeah, I don't think I have added the city information here. It's better to add the city information inside the inventory, because city is not going to get changed that frequently, and then we can put that information here with every inventory, and that way if we are searching for a particular room inside our inventory, we don't have to if we are filtering on the basis of city, then we don't have to make a join query to the room and then from there make a join query to the hotel just to get the city out of it, because that's going to slow down our query quite a lot. So that's the responsibility of us as this system administrator to create the initial inventory, and then also the room managers can keep updating this inventory. They can keep updating the search factor if they want, right? They can update the closed field inside the inventory on a particular date. So that's what they can do inside into the future. And then we have this booking. This booking gets created as soon as the user books the hotel or start booking a hotel. So booking has a flow that I had covered in the last class. That how does a booking flow look like is something we covered. Let me see here only. Yeah, user booking flow. So how this booking flow looks like is that first of all you search a hotel in a particular city in between a date range and the number of rooms. So that's where your inventory is going to come into the picture, right? So from using our inventory we can look for hotel which are available, and then browse a list of hotels. This again is going to take help of the hotels and also the inventory table. And then choosing a hotel and room type, again we are using hotel booking flow until now. And right from here we are getting into our core booking flow, in which we first check if the room is available, and then if it is available then we create a booking for it, but that booking has a status. So that status would be in the reserved state. And then allow users to add guest, proceed to payment, and then once the payment is done we mark that booking status to confirmed. So that's what we are doing here in this booking. In this booking you can see we have a status, booking status, that is an enum. So we are going to create all of this in today's class only. I'm just doing a recap here so that we are on the same page here in today's class. And then along with the booking we have this payment information, in which we have transaction ID and the price, the created at, updated at, and the payment status. So as soon as the payment status gets confirmed we are going to confirm our booking. All that's going to happen, and then we'll say that yes, this user has booked a room. We also have users, so user can log in, user can sign up, all these things going to happen. And then as soon as the user gets user gets created into our system, that user would be guest. Each user gets created, he will be guest at first, and then we as the system administrator have the power to update the user to a hotel manager, right? So we onboard people, right? People come to us, they say that yes, onboard me to your system, we onboard them to our system, and then we update their roles. So we add the role of hotel manager to their roles. So we'll do that and we'll see how that happens. And then users who are guests, they can also add multiple other guests into the booking. So for that we have this table. And then we have this join table, because there's going to be a many-to-many relationship between the guest and the booking. So in order to manage a many-to-many relationship between two tables, as we all know, we are going to take help of a table, join table. So this is that table. Actually inside JPA we don't have to even build this table. All we have to do is just build the the relationship, many-to-many relationship, and define the join table schema, and then that join table is going to get created automatically for us. So we're going to look at that everything from scratch in today's class. So I hope everyone is on the same page. We can get started. Live session recording and notes are not available on the platform. They are available on the platform. For example, the last live class was available in the week 1. So just open week 1, you will see the recording of all the lectures and also the notes. Similar to that, this is the live class for week 2. So all the recording for week 2 is going to get inside the week 2 only. So you'll be able to look at all this, right? So live class are under week 1 for the week 1, and now this is week 2. So that's why this is going to get under week 2 only. So we can get started now. So for that, just come to this website, Spring Initializr. I hope many of you have already submitted your homework and you are fully familiarized with this website. It helps us to set up a basic project from scratch. So we can specify our project specification, like the project build tool is going to be Maven, the language is going to be Java, the Spring Boot version is going to be the latest version, and then the project metadata. So here we can specify our metadata, for example, coding shuttle dot maybe your name or projects or whatever, right? And then in here the artifact name, so just call it Airbnb app or something. The name of the project is going to be Airbnb app, that's fine. And then Airbnb clone project in coding shuttle, and this is going to be the package name. We can verify it, and then the packaging is going to get of jar format, and then for the Java version we're going to use 21. All this is great. Now we're going to add certain dependencies. So first one is going to be data JPA. So we can search for JPA. This is the Spring Data JPA dependency. It's going to help us set up Hibernate, so that we don't have to manually create our queries that will work on our database. So persist data in SQL stored with Java Persistence API using Spring Data and Hibernate. So Hibernate is a really great awesome tool, and we have covered all this in great detail inside week 3. So I hope you guys have gone through that. I think week 4 has already been unlocked. That was unlocked yesterday only. And then for the database, we are going to use the PostgreSQL database. You can also use the SQL database, but I'm just choosing to use PostgreSQL database. Both these are similar in some aspect, but I find that using PostgreSQL database you get a lot more functionalities. Probably not going to cover those functionalities, so we can also get started with SQL. So just a choice. And then we have the Lombok dependency, and I'll probably add some more dependencies later on. Let me just add the web dependency for now. I'll probably add more dependencies. I'm going to add more dependencies like model mapper and a lot more other dependencies that are going to get added, for example actuator and all lot more other dependencies, Spring Security and lot more. So I'll be adding those later on. For now we can just get started with these many dependencies. So just click on this generate button, and it's going to create a Airbnb zip file for us. After that, let me just set up my database real quick. So for that you'll have to install PostgreSQL in your machine, and the steps to install PostgreSQL machine have already been shared with you. So I hope you guys have gone through that. You have to install PostgreSQL using Homebrew, so it's very easy. I mean, we can just take a look. P PostgreSQL install on like Mac or Ubuntu, whatever. So just come here, and then you can install this database. Homebrew is something that I have found very easy to set up. So if you are on Windows, you can follow the instructions here. I'm on Mac OS, so I'm going to follow the instructions here. There are quite a lot of resources, quite a lot of ways to install it. For example, using this postgres.app, this is an app, or using Homebrew, you can simply run this command, do brew install PostgreSQL. It's going to install the PostgreSQL, and then you can also specify the version if you want. Right, so installing it is not that hard of a task, right? Yeah, you have this zip archive to install on Windows. Download the installer and then you can install it, and I'm sure you guys have already installed it, so I'm not going to go into that. And then after that, install dbeaver. All these steps have already been explained, so I'm not going to explain them again. And then after you have installed it, start your PostgreSQL database. You can create a database using your command line, or you can come here, connect to the database by clicking on this button, choose PostgreSQL, and then from here just pass in the information about your database. For example, the URL for your database. For most of you guys it's going to be the same, just as this one. And then you can pass in the username and password if you have specified a username and password during setting up your database. If you have not done that, you can simply connect with it. I have already connected with it. This is my PostgreSQL connection. Over here you can see localhost 5432, as I have installed my PostgreSQL using Homebrew only, right? So let me just show you brew services list. So there you'll find all the things that are currently running. For example, PostgreSQL is there. I have also installed MySQL using it. I have installed Redis also using it. So this is a really great tool. I have currently stopped Redis, and I should probably stop MySQL as well. I'll do that. So there are commands like brew services start and then service name, and then it will start it. So my PostgreSQL server is currently running on my local machine, and it is currently running on port 5432, so I can easily connect to it by the steps that I have shown you here, right? Using these steps you will be able to connect. And all these things, again I am saying that all these things have been explained in dedicated lectures in week 3, so you can just walk through those. After this is done, you can just come here to the database list and you can create a new database here. This is where our database related to this particular project is going to go. So this is going to be of Airbnb, right? So Airbnb, we can name it anything. Just I'm going to name it Airbnb and then click OK. So to create a database for me, which is this Airbnb, and then you can come here, you can look at the schema. So currently there is not going to be any schema. There are no tables here. So there are no tables here as of now. tables are going to get added here soon. So we can connect to this database now inside our app. For that, I'm going to open this app inside my IntelliJ. So let me just do that. File, open, download. So yeah, this is the project, Airbnb app. All right. Uh, in here we can see this is the project. Inside the pom.xml we have added all these dependencies. So data JPA is here, Spring Boot Starter web dependency is here. Data JPA will help us to set up the Hibernate and data JPA, and then Spring Boot Starter web will start a web server for us, so that we don't have to create a web server from scratch. It's going to use the Tomcat web server. And then this dependency right here is going to help us set up a connection between our data JPA and our PostgreSQL drivers. And also we have this Lombok dependency just to add some utility classes or methods, for example, for logging purposes, and getters and setters. So all these things we don't have to write ourselves with the help of Lombok. And then we have this by default Spring Boot Starter test dependency, so that we can write tests. So I'll explain all the tests part later on. Right now we can just get started with all the things that we have here. So right after this, just come to your resources and application or properties. This right here is where we are going to set up our database. All right. Vishal says, can we unlock all our Java lectures? No, Java lectures are not going to get unlocked. I mean, not Java lectures, you mean your Spring Boot lectures, right? They are not going to get unlocked. The cohort, it is a cohort based batch, so you're not going to see all these things getting unlocked at one go. Ariman also says that how can I unlock all my lectures? If you have all these issues, simply ask on email. We have a team here, so that they can also help you. But right now, please refrain from asking all such questions. Just ask question related to the project if you have any. And a good place to ask question is your doubts section inside the chat. Just ask your doubts there, so that at the end of the lecture I can just go through the doubts, because the chat part is just for chatting, I guess, right? So you can just chat there, but at the doubts I can just look at the doubts dedicatedly. All right. So right now I'm going to set up my database, the database that I have just created. So I'm going to set up that. So for that, just let's write the DB configuration. DB configuration. All right. So first one would be Spring data source URL, spring dot data source dot URL, and this is going to be the string here. Let me just show you this one, JDBC localhost 5432, this one, PostgreSQL. So JDBC PostgreSQL, like this is the host name with which we can connect to our database, and then localhost, running on localhost 5432 slash the name of the database. So this is the server, right, where our database is currently running. This is the server name. Right after that, we have to specify the database name as well. So if you remember, I have just created a database with the name Airbnb. So make sure you put the same name, Airbnb, like so. This is the data source URL. After that, we have to provide data source username and data source password, but I have not provided any username and password while creating this database, so I don't have to put that. After that, we have to provide the DDL auto. So spring dot JPA dot spring JPA dot hibernate dot DDL auto, and we can make it update or create drop. in the beginning you can put it create drop as well. I mean, for the development purposes, create drop is good. Basically, you might uh, do any kind of errors while you are first developing a project, right? So if you are not sure, like if you are not 100% sure that all the changes that I'm making are correct, then it's better to make it create drop. What it's going to do is every time you stop your application, it's going to drop the database or delete everything, and every time you start your application, it's going to start a new database, right? So while we are doing this schema creation part, I think it's good to make it create drop because we might be making some errors. And then once everything is ready, like once we are ready to move to the next step, which is creating the APIs, we can change it to update, like so. And this is just for development purposes. All right, once we go into production mode, once we take this code to production mode, then we're going to learn about something called profiles, in which we'll create multiple profiles for multiple environments. For example, this is development environment, and then we can have another production environment. In that, we're going to change it from update to something else, for example, validate or none, most probably, right? So validate or none both will work great on production, but for now we can just make it create drop, right? And all these things, as I mentioned again, have already been explained in week 3, so you can just take a look at that lecture as well. And then after that, spring jpa show spring dot jpa dot show SQL equals to true, so that we can take a look at all the SQL queries that are going to get generated from JPA. So JPA works with our Hibernate, right? So JPA is going to convert everything that we write over here to the SQL. And using this command, we can actually take a look at that SQL inside the console logs. Once you write this line, it's going to put all your SQL commands in one single line. You want to format that line so that it's humanly readable. So spring dot jpa dot properties dot hibernate dot format, and you don't have to like learn about all these things, like you don't have to remember all these strings, because I'm also copying these strings from internet only. So these things are already available. You can just copy and paste these things from the internet. You can find all these configurations from your previous projects, so you can just find it from there and just make it true. So this line is going to format all the SQL queries, and this line is going to print all the SQL queries, and this line is going to create our database and drop our database. Create when the project is getting started, drop once the project is getting dubbed. Or we can make it create as well. Create is going to just create the database every time you create a project. It's not going to drop the database when the project is going to shut down. And this is how we are connecting to the database. I have not specified the Spring data source username and password because I have not set up any. So right after this, let me just see if we are able to connect to the application. So just for that, I'm just going to start this application, run it, and if the database connection goes well, we'll be able to see that yes, our application is connected. So database JDBC URL connecting through data source. Yeah, I think we are able to connect. Yes, PG connection, all this thing, right? So we were able to successfully connect to our database, and also our server is started on port 8080. All that is great. And then once you stop it, it's going to stop. It's not going to clean our database because I have changed it to create. Alright, so right after this, let's set up our project structure. That is the agenda number 1, right? So let's do that. So right click, create packages. So I'm going to start with controller, and then we'll have service, and then we have repository, we also have entity or models, whatever you can call them. So entity, then we'll also have DTO, we'll also have utility, util, you can call them util, right? We'll have strategies, some more things as well. I'm going to add those later on. For right now, actually, this structure is good enough for us. right now our whole focus is going to get inside this entity part only, because I'm going to create all the entities that we see over here. So these entities I'm going to create. Alright, so I hope you guys are with me until now. What does DTO mean? DTO is a data transfer object. This helps us to create objects that are similar to our entities, but this DTO is used to share data across multiple layers. So in MVC you have multiple layers, right? All these things have been covered in week 2 only. In MVC you have multiple layers, right? For example, controller layer, the service layer. So to make the data flow between the controller to service layer, it's better to create another object or model altogether, and that is DTO, which is data transfer object, right? And then entities are something that are going to translate to the SQL queries with the help of JPA, right? All set? Good? All right. I hope you don't have any doubts. विवेक से जॉइंट टेबल समझ नहीं आया, डोंट वरी, आज की क्लास में समझ में आ जाएगा, ठीक है. We'll be learning about joint table, joint columns, all these things are going to be covered, so don't worry about anything. All right, आज हम दोबारा से बना रहे होंगे, so you would be able to understand everything. Let's get started. So first of all, the first thing I'm going to create is the I like to start from the entities that are least related, right? So for example, this contact info is least related, or the payment is least related, and then move my way upward. For example, then hotel, and then room, and all these things. So for this contact info, I'm going to put this contact info inside this hotel only, and I'm to make this embeddable, right? So that the data here is going to get inside this hotel table only. I'll show you what I mean by that. So it's better to start by hotel only. So let's create hotel, make it entity like this, make it put a getter here and setter here, and all these things are coming from Lombok, so that we don't have to write getters and setters here. And then in here, since we are making it an entity, we have to specify an ID. Here you can see we are getting an error, entity does not have a primary key. Each entity has to have a primary key, so let's put that long private long ID like so, and then it's going to be type ID, and now the error is gone. Sometimes we want to make our system in such a way that we are not taking care of creating the ID, and ID is something that's getting auto generated. So for that we can put this annotation generated value, and then in here we can pass the strategy, and then for this I'm going to make it identity, so that my ID starts from 1 2 3 and so on. And then in the hotel I'm going to pass more things, for example, private string name, and then this name will have a column. So we can also put a table annotation here, and then we can specify multiple things, for example, the name, the schema, the unique constraints, and also the indexes. I'll probably put indexes later on once we are dealing with API, so that we know how many filters do we have, and accordingly we are going to create indexes. In today's class I'll add the unique constraints. It's a good idea to put name here, otherwise your name is going to get created from your table or your entity here only. So what the JPA is going to do is going to create a table with the name hotel only. Is going to take this name from camel case, and it will make it kebab case. So from hotel, suppose if it was not hotel, if it was hotel manager. Can anyone tell me if it was hotel manager, what was going to be the name of the table? Just want to know if people know what kebab case is. So from hotel manager is going to convert the table, actual table name inside the database, to something else. What is that name going to be? Abhishek says hotel underscore manager, and that is correct. Yeah. So the name is going to get converted automatically. If you have a problem with that name, if you want to specify your own table name, you can do that. No one is going to stop you from doing that. Maybe you want to make it hotels. If your company is using plural specification, then you can make it hotels like so, or you can just leave it. Let's just make it hotel only because I like singular like this. Then this is name, and then each hotel has to have a name, so we can specify the column definition here, and we can say that this has to be nullable false. By default it is nullable true, that means this name can be null inside the database, but right now I have made it nullable false. So this is going to add a non-nullable constraint on my field here on, or probably or maybe this column here inside the table. What that means is that if we don't specify the name while creating hotel, it's going to give us an error from the database level only, and which is really great, right? Because we want to each of the hotel to have a name when we are creating a hotel. So let me just using this way, I'm going to put more things. Let me just do that quickly. So we have name, then we have city, so private string city, and then private string array photos. So we are also going to store photos of the hotel, right? And I'm going to put the photos inside the array, and we can put arrays inside our PostgreSQL database, so that is really great. To do that, we'll have to put column definition in here, because that does not get supported by JPA by default. So we can put column definition inside any of the column. Inside the column definition, we can specify like what kind of column is this going to be. For example, this column right here is of type string, right, text. So we can define a column definition here as well. We can say that this is text and or varchar of size 256 or something. So we can specify all that here, or you know, so for things like this, for string it is good, because for string JPA can